Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of REWILD Motherhood. I'm not gonna lie, I was super nervous about this one today and I kind of kept putting it off. That's why it's a few minutes late. Because I'm kind of touching on something that maybe is a little personal and I'm sure maybe will resonate with some of you, which is just parenting and fear. I feel like fear as a parent is like totally amplified and simultaneously has, for me at least, become something that I've learned to manage a little bit better. I am like a crazy anxious person, and for a long time of my life I was literally scared of like everything. I was like that kid at the beach. My parents would leave me on a beach towel and go swimming because I was like so stressed out about the waves that I would just sit on the towel for like hours and was totally cool with that. And as I got older, I like started to kind of push through that, and then I had my son, my first son, and all of that came like swelling back. I was literally like afraid of my shadow. I was afraid of his shadow. I was stressed about everything. I was like, what if he, gets hurt? What if he dies? Like, what if something bad happens? What if I can't control it? And, it was like really, really hard. And then my second son, I had insane postpartum, and how that kind of manifested was that fear again of something bad happening to him, or, something that I can't control. And slowly I've like kind of started working through it. And now with my daughter, it's really funny. People say like, oh, you're so brave, like you'll take your kids to do these things. And I've never ever really felt brave. And I think that bravery is, that quote, like, bravery is being afraid and like doing it anyway. I think that's a big mantra for me, has been like kind of owning up to fear and facing it and doing things that I wasn't sure I could do or that I'm scared to do. And especially now with kids, because I don't want them to be that kid that was nervous and scared and didn't try a lot of things until much, much later. And obviously there's that balance between not pushing them, but I think one of the greatest ways to inspire and encourage is to lead by doing. And so I've started trying to say yes to more things, to the things that scare me. I remember the first time I ever went rock climbing, I was so scared. My hands were shaking, my knees were shaking. Thank you, Explora88. It says you're such a great role model to other moms, which like really means a lot to me, so thank you. I like literally like my knees were clacking together and I was so scared. And then I like got up on the wall and I got up high, and all of a sudden I realized I wasn't afraid of heights. I like anticipated being terrified of heights. I was terrified. I was ready to be terrified, and I got up there and I didn't feel that way. And it's been like that with a lot of things. I recently went on a river kayaking camping trip, which is something I'd never done before. And I was really scared. I was like, what if, all the what ifs. I'm definitely a what if person. There's all these what ifs constantly like swirling around. What if something bad happens? What if I can't? And I think a lot of it is a control thing. Not like super proud to admit that, but I like feeling in control at least a little bit. For all the spontaneity and like puff and bluster about being type B, I definitely still get like super anxious when I feel out of control. And this kayak camping was like totally new waters. See that pun there? New waters for me. And my oldest son was like, Mom, like, are you scared? I was like, yeah, like, to be honest, I'm a little nervous, but I'm really excited. I'm excited to try something new, and I'm excited to push myself. And he was like, hey, that's really cool. And it made me feel really good that he, acknowledged that. And I'm hoping that that will inspire them to want to keep doing those things. I think sometimes fears can be tiny. Like, every time I do these videos, I'm super scared that I'm going to sound like a jackass or totally mess it up, which definitely happens. And then you kind of like get over it, I guess. And I think, with parenting comes like a whole new host of fears. Like I've always been, now that I've had kids, I'm like, well, if something bad happens to me, the fears are so different than what they were pre-kid. And you can tell clearly I've thought about this a lot. So it's not like I'm a fearless person. And yet people will say that, and I kind of touched on that a second ago, but I recently, I guess not recent now, time flies, I went camping with one of my very close girlfriends, and I took all the kids, and my husband stayed here, and they're like, aren't you scared to drive, halfway across the country with your kids, and aren't you scared to take them camping, and aren't you scared of all these things? And I was super scared and I was super stressed. And like I said, you do it anyway because what's the alternative? And I guess for me, I keep thinking about being that kid again, like sitting on the beach, terrified to leave the blanket because you might get knocked over by a wave. And years after that, I decided to take up scuba diving. And again, I was so scared. I literally, every single time we were done with a dive, it felt like I could breathe again. It was like a deep sigh of relief that it was done. And then I'd want to do it again. And it's like that with snowboarding even. Like, I get to the top and my knees are clacking and I'm feeling stressed and I'm like sweating even though it's freezing. And then I get down and I want to do it again and I want to do it over and over and over and I want to try new things. And so I don't know if I'm like the bravest scaredy cat or the whatever, but I feel like it's really, really important to face fears. And like I said, they can be little things. Like my son Odie is having an MRI on his feet next week. He was born with club feet, for those of you who don't know. And he had surgery at 6 weeks, and they like saw some stuff on his ankle that they want to check out. And because he's 5, he can't sit still for super long, and so they have to sedate him. And I'm like super stressed about it, and I'm a mess. And but the magic of being a parent is finding a way to put on a brave face because he's also scared. And it's taught me how to confront fear in a way that's constructive and to share with him those feelings of being scared and also finding a way to work through it. So, I was like, yeah, I'm scared, buddy. And he's like, I'm scared. And I was like, I understand. And talking through that and being open about the things that scare us, because you're not brave just by not being afraid. You're brave by doing and going and processing and talking, and there's a million little things to be scared and stressed about. And every single day, I'm sure people overcome huge things and people overcome tiny things. Like public speaking doesn't super bother me, but having to stare at my own face while I do it makes me really anxious and nervous. And so I think every day people conquer fears that they don't even recognize. And I think we need to give ourselves kudos for that. And as parents, I think modeling that it's okay to be scared and it's okay to be nervous and still do things and jump in and know that maybe you have some growing to do with it is okay. And I guess I'm just going to kind of ramble from this point on, but I think that fear is a really powerful tool. And I think that fear is one of those things that can truly, like, not to sound like one of those like life coaches, because I'm definitely not. Fear is truly one of those things that can stop you from living your best life, I guess, or following your dreams or pursuing the things that set your soul on fire. And if fear is one of the main things stopping you, learning, at least for me, to redefine what bravery is has really helped me pursue those things. So I think going back to all of these REWILD Motherhood talks always comes back to being gentler to yourself and redefining expectations and relearning how to build stoke for yourself and to participate in your life and the world around you in a way that maybe you hadn't thought of before. Like, I was talking to a friend of mine today, actually, and we'd just gone to these caves, and I was like, no effing way am I ever wedging myself into one of those tiny hole caves. Like, I have this real fear that I'm gonna end up like, in case none of you know, that Winnie the Pooh, where like he gets wedged and stuck and then Rabbit has to like shove him out and Christopher Robin's pulling. I'm convinced that's like what's gonna happen to me in a cave. And I realized, though, as I was saying it, that the only way I would end up doing it is if my kids wanted to go. And not that like they're the boss of me, because they are definitely not, even though they totally think they are, is that I want to participate with them and I want to learn to do those things even though they scare me. So that one's like definitely on the bottom of my to-do list, but it's not off the list completely. So I find myself, even when I say never, I don't necessarily mean that just because things scare me. I'm super scared of mountain biking is another one. I'm like, I guess I'm just laying out all my fears for you guys. So if you really want to terrify me, I guess take me mountain biking in a narrow cave. But there's like this really cool grit mountain biking festival for women, and I keep finding myself checking on it and being like, I wonder if there are tickets. I wonder what this would look like if I tried this. And I guess for me now, me having redefined fear means to pursue the things I'm scared of in my outdoor life, and I've found that it is so much easier to pursue the things in my outdoor life than it is to face the things that sometimes scare me in my parenthood life, like, you know, my son getting this MRI or something happening to them. And learning to rationalize those things has been really, really hard. And you know, all parents have fears for their children, and so much of it is out of our control, and we can try and do and be the best versions of ourselves. But at least for me, I know that I fail like on the regular. Like every day there's definitely a moment where I'm like, wow, that was not a solid parenting move, be it like losing my temper or, you know, dicking around on my phone when maybe I should have been participating, or, you know, a million things that we can harbor parent guilt for, and trying to rationalize that like those things are human and I'm human, and they're not going to, you know, like impact my kids in a way that like manifests some of those fears. Like for example, and this is wicked personal, but my sister is a drug addict, and I'm always like, oh God, like what if it's genetic? What if this like lives in my family? What if this is like some insidious thing? And learning to rationalize that and to step back from that fear and to not let it dominate like my parenting style has been like a journey, and I'm still like constantly on it. And you know, I don't think I have answers. I don't have any answers on how to, you know, make that go away, but learning to live with fear and learning to be braver than the things that scare you. So long rambling story, as always short. Being scared is fine, I guess. You know, it's like any emotion, it makes you realize you're human, and learning to be braver is not an overnight thing. And bravery isn't, you know, you snap your fingers and all of a sudden you don't shake in your boots over something. Bravery is, you know, doing the thing anyway, I guess, and learning to be scared and be okay with being scared. Like, you know, again, back to my son's like MRI sedation thing, like I'm just gonna be scared. Like then it'll be done and I'll be fine and he'll be fine and everyone will be fine, and I'll feel silly for having been like a mess about it. But you just you have to embrace feelings, I guess. You know, here I am with like all my life coach stuff today. But in the grand scheme of things, parenting and fear, or outdoors and fear, or whatever it is can actually be a tool to be used as a way to empower yourself and the people around you. And so by kind of flipping our perspective on fear, we can do a whole lot more for ourselves and for the world around us. And so with that, I'm going to shut it down. But exciting news, next week, if I somehow magically don't delete the video, Shanti, in theory, I'm so sorry, I've made so many empty promises about this, will be on the show. And then hopefully we will have Sarah Lamanga on here pretty soon. I'm gonna see her in Colorado pretty soon, which is really exciting. And I'm hoping to just keep showcasing all you badass, beautiful moms out there. And until then, you're stuck with me. So as always, shoot me a message or leave a comment, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.